good one. Awesome, awesome. So here we go, man. So welcome back to our podcast, Christian and Crystal. We have our good friend here, Tiger. This is episode 5, the power of creative real estate. So this is our friend, partner, real estate investor, creative finance specialist, Tiger Rodriguez. So we appreciate you joining us, man.
Thank you for
Thank you
having me.
so much. So yeah, we just wanted to jump on, have a conversation with you. We've been doing some stuff out here in the Valley. You come with, a lot of experience in creative finance, and you've really just kind of been helping us, lead the team out here. So we just want to jump on, have a conversation, and to see where it goes. So
Yeah.
let's do it, man. So tell us a little bit about, your background and, how you got into, real estate, and then, we could talk about how we met as well. So
Cool. Yeah, I got into real estate because I actually went through foreclosure back in 2008. Um, Around like 2005-ish, my mom started like buying houses. We bought a house and then they started telling her, "Oh, look at this house. You can rent it out and all that stuff." So we started kind of buying houses for rent and stuff. I didn't know much about it at the time. I was just helping her with my credit basically
yeah.
because I had good credit. And we had a few houses, some out here in the AV as well. And 2008 happened, and we started losing our jobs, losing the houses, and eventually we almost went homeless. We were all living in a one-bedroom apartment, like with 5, 6 people, my 2 dogs and my little sister,
Jeez.
and it was tough. It was tough, and I'm like, man, I gotta learn this stuff because I don't want this to happen again. I gotta do this for my family, not just myself, but I don't want to see my family go through this again.
Yeah.
So I I started like looking into anything I could learn in real estate. I actually bought a course. Once I got back on my feet, like I got a job, started fixing my credit. I was able to pay for a course in I don't know if you guys are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich
Yeah.
Dad, Poor Dad. So
Yep.
I actually took one of his courses for they had like a 3-day event, and then you can choose based on your experience or how much money you had. You can choose which one works better for you. I chose a lease option, so I started learning about lease option.
Mm.
And so that even though I didn't use a lease option strategy at the time, it it helped me understand more about real estate, how to buy it, all the process, and I ended up actually buying a condo after that. So I bought a condo out here in Santa Clarita, and I moved my family out from that apartment. And
Awesome.
then from there, I just started learning more, like what is FHA. That's how I got my first loan, right, with for the
Yeah.
condo. Started learning about that, and and then they started saying, hey, like a year after, they're like, hey, you can do a streamline refi. I'm like, what is that? Okay, let's do it. So I did a streamline refi, and then I'm like, okay, I see how it works. And then later they're like, hey, you could do you can refinance out of your FHA into a conventional loan. Okay, what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
What are the advantages, right? So I did it, and then I started learning how the interest rates work, right? So um, I lowered my interest, I lowered my payment, and then again, like next thing, what's the next thing? Oh, do a cash out refi. What is that? How does that work? Right? So it just like step by step, right? Um, so I did a cash out refi, and then I took that money and I bought another house, which is the house I live in now. I left the condo to my mom. She lives there with my sister and all that. And then from that, I just started learning more. Bought another house. Actually sold my car, and I used that money to buy another property in California City.
Nice.
So I was renting that out for a couple years, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? Like I started hearing about like creative finance and solar finance and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, how do you do it? What is it? What does that look like?
Mhm.
What does the paperwork look like? Who can I reach out to for help? Like, who knows how to do this paperwork, right? So I started looking around, and I came across, I think, Jerry Norton at first, Jerry Norton, and I just started learning things. So YouTube was like my my school. Like every morning, because I work from home.
YouTube school.
Yeah. So every morning, I get on my computer to start working, turn on my iPad, and just go to YouTube, and I would just start searching for financial stuff, right? Real estate,
They
financing stuff.
start a university of YouTube. YouTube
Yeah,
University. That's what it
yeah,
needs to be.
yeah,
You can get
yeah,
some credentials from it or something.
dude.
That's how we
Seriously.
all learn. There's so much value in there, like I mean, just to be honest, like I every time I'm like, oh, I need to learn more about that. Like I jump on YouTube
Yeah,
and just pick someone who's I feel is more advanced in that topic, or just kind of see even just based off of views or some of the comments in there, and I'm like, okay, I think this is who I need to learn from, and I
yeah.
can't tell you like how valuable YouTube has been for so many things. So totally
Yeah.
get it. YouTube University. Maybe we start it. Maybe that's something. Maybe that's our first business venture.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, YouTube, it was my go-to every morning, just searching things that I was interested in, and found Jerry Norton. I started learning about that, and somewhere in there, I came across Pace,
Yep.
and actually, it was funny because I found him I found one of his videos on TikTok.
Mm.
Him saying, "Hey, I just took over this property and I took over the loan with zero money or this and that." And I'm like, I was kind of, when you're like looking for that information that you just been looking
Yeah.
for, and when
Yeah.
you find it, you don't believe it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like that.
I was gonna say one of his scammy looking videos, because
Yeah.
that's what they look like. Like, we know him and we're in his program, and we're some of his students, and we've built our business, from his principles, and a lot of our partners and investors come from his community. So we know, what it's all about. But I just think it's so funny because even I come across like his videos and I'm like, this dude looks kind of scammy sometimes. Like
Yeah.
it cracks me up, but we know him and how he is, and it's totally the opposite, because
Yeah.
when you're in actual like Zooms with him, it's not how he is on those YouTube ads and
Yeah.
stuff. It's totally different.
Totally
He
different.
brings people up, and I mean, you just spent a whole day with him, and it's
Yeah.
he's brilliant, man.
He-
He
He's
knows his
he's
stuff,
he's the
and
real deal.
he is the real deal, and he's a go giver, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So.
So I found Pace on that video, and I was kind of hating. I was like, man, how is a bank gonna just let you take over the mortgage and not check
Yeah.
your credit and none of that? And I left a comment. I actually left that comment on the video.
Oh,
And then
you
I'm like, wait,
responded?
hold on. I'm like, let me look into this. So I started again on YouTube. Hey, subject to Pace Morby, and I just
Yeah.
started watching all his videos. Started understanding how it works. I'm like, oh damn, this is for real. Like
Yeah.
this could work. So once I got into, I'm like, okay, this could work. I like this. And then I went back to that video and I updated. I left another comment. I'm like, "Hey, after looking into this is for this is real." I'm like, oh damn, for real. And then I
Actually,
started.
I retract my last statement.
Yeah, yeah. And I
After
actually have a
for the review,
screenshot
I
now.
retract my last statement.
I have a screenshot of those two comments.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So,
That's awesome.
after that, I just started looking into how do I join his community, and I just
Yeah,
finally found the link to it, and I joined Sub 2,
that's awesome,
and
man.
that's how I got into real estate.
Hell yeah, that's
And
awesome,
he,
man. That's super cool. So, and then through similar to kind of our stories, a little bit. Our stories, we got into real estate a little bit different. We started investing into real estate not knowing what the hell we were doing, which is the complete opposite that Pace teaches, in his program and to his students. And I mean, we had no paperwork, no, just the complete opposite. And then once we learned everything he teaches, we're like, damn, we're doing this totally wrong. But you know, it's that's how we met, through Pace's community, and it's pretty cool, what we're building out here. The partnership we have, we have a whole team out here now.
Mhm.
Just Sub 2 Gator community, just a bunch of real estate enthusiasts out here getting together and creating a team. It's been pretty cool. But so that's how we met, and it's been fun, man. We're about to list some of your land, which is pretty
That's
cool.
right.
That's going to be pretty exciting. Some great real estate right there, man. Beautiful view. So we're pretty excited to share that. If you're watching this podcast a little bit later, it's probably already listed, and you can go check it out. But yeah. Oh, was that dropping the link? Drop the link in the comments. So man, that's awesome. So, but just to kind of go back to a couple things, just for some people who are watching, who are trying to familiarize themselves or kind of learn a little bit more about real estate. They might be watching this and wondering some of the things that we've talked about, even some of like the basics, that aren't so basic, but like conventional, FHA. So these are some terms, creative finance. These are some terms that I think, collectively we can kind of discuss real quick, just
Hmm.
for anybody who's watching, who's like, what the hell are these people talking about? It's like a whole foreign language. Real estate's a whole another foreign language. You have to learn,
Yeah.
terms and, all sorts of stuff. And then there's the paperwork, and it's just totally different. And that's, not the fun part, of real estate. But so what is the difference, and even you can speak to this too, but the difference between conventional and FHA, is that something you want to talk about or share?
No, either one is fine.
Whichever.
Yeah.
You want to take this one?
Okay, sure.
Cool.
So definitely, FHA and conventional are for people that are going the traditional route. There are restrictions and different ways they can do it. FHA, you can only do if it's one home at a time. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're doing conventional, you're allowed to do multiple houses with that. And then also the percentages down are different. Something that people don't know, and this is just for people that might be new to real estate, is you don't have to put 20% down every time. So definitely talk to your lender, depending on your credit score, depending on payments and what you want to pay. You're able to put down less if needed. And there are even programs that you could put down as low as 1%. And those aren't talked about a lot. And I think that's like a huge barrier for people. And it really is, talk to your lender, ask what those programs are. And you can even do just as low as 1% down, and see what programs you can get into really that help them out. So
Yeah,
so it's just it's something that you really need to like talk to your lender and kind of pry
sure. Yeah.
sometimes and just push. And it's an opportunity, though. Going to traditional route, there are more opportunities than people think, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's this huge barrier to owning, or even just starting to invest in real estate, and it's there's more options.
Yeah.
I think creative finance is definitely something that people kind of get spooked about, because they're like,
Right.
what is it even legal? And
Yeah.
that comes up a lot.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
just because people know like the traditional route, and even if they aren't familiar with all the terms and everything, they're so ingrained, like this is the only way to
Right.
real estate. And
Yeah.
just being familiar with other methods as well.
Yeah. And so, which kind of is a good segue into creative finance. So, that's the more traditional route, is the FHA conventional. And I mean, to your point, there's all sorts of options people don't know about, but then there's a whole nother world that people don't know about, which is creative finance. And so, Tiger, what is creative finance?
Creative finance is, in the way I could explain it, in my opinion, is basically outside of what the conventional is and that traditional is, which traditional is like you build up your credit, you apply for a loan with a bank, they pre-approve you, they check your taxes, they tell you, okay, you qualify for this amount, of to buy a house, and then you go look at it, you do an inspection, appraisals, and it takes all that time, right? That's the traditional method. And
Yeah.
the creative part is more like you don't need none of that. You don't need a bank. You don't need to check your credit. You don't need bank statements. You don't need any of that. You could just do a deal. Let's say, for example, if it was a seller finance, like the person selling the house could be the bank. They could become your bank and give you that loan, right? And you could just start making payments to them. So that's the difference between traditional and creative finance, or in our case, subject to, where you can just take over the existing payments and you don't have to go qualify for a bank, right? So that's the difference between traditional loans, traditional real estate, and creative finance. You're using different strategies to do the same thing and achieve better results
for sure
than traditional.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important to understand like they're two different sellers. I feel like sometimes people get confused, or just in the real estate world sometimes, or just in general, but they get confused when subject to seller finance. Like those are two different sellers. Those are two different things in themselves. And the subject to seller is there's a pain point. That one is more pain. They're looking for a way out, and that's where someone can acquire the property subject to things like that and help them. That's somebody who is more in pain and is looking for a way out, whereas seller finance is they're looking more for a gain. They're looking more for they could sell at this certain price point, but they're looking more for a seller finance where they can over time get more of a gain, as opposed to they're super motivated to sell and they need to get out of this. And so I think that's I hope that kind of made sense as to the difference in subject to is more pain and seller finance is more of a gain. Those are two different kinds of sellers. And so really important to understand. I feel like sometimes people get those two mixed up. But yeah, so those are some seller finance terms, or some creative finance terms rather.
And to add to the part where Crystal was saying, when she was explaining the FHA and the conventional loans where you can put like 1% down or 3% down. With creative finance, sometimes you don't have to put anything down.
Yeah, 100%.
We've gotten free properties just using creative finance.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is
crazy. And there's so many, and it's becoming more common. You hear. I mean, you had a client who was looking specifically for subject to, and it's a filter you could put in the MLS. It's like subject to. It's terms people are looking for. It's terms sellers are willing to sell on. So it's becoming more common, and I think with the team that we have out here, I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Just kind of spreading the word of creative finance and just that, and also that we're the team that has more options for you. You know what I mean? That understands this other part of the world that of the real estate world that not too many agents understand. That's why they're called unicorn agents. Agents that specifically work with and specialize in creative finance, which Crystal does, as that's how we started in real estate. So so it's pretty cool, man. I'm really excited for what we're doing out here and how we're going to be able to educate these families and homeowners and buyers and such. So
and creative finance is like it not only just benefits the buyer, right, but it also benefits a lot of the homeowners and the sellers who are they're probably in a bad situation and they can't sell traditionally, right? So that's where creative finance also comes in, where it's a benefit for them. And so as an agent, you bring more resources and more options than just listing a property on the MLS.
Yeah. 100%. So what would you say are certain circumstances where creative finance would be used as opposed to traditional?
Mostly you'll see it on properties that don't have a lot of equity, and people are losing their homes or they just want to get out. A lot of times military people, they buy a house and then they got to deploy somewhere else, and they're like, oh, now I got to sell my house, but I can't. I just bought it. They got to come out of pocket. So that's where creative finance and sub 2 comes in, because you can just take over their mortgage and they can go wherever else they need to go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's all.
That's one of the most common that I see, especially the properties that we get is people that are just they're just not able to sell it,
Mhm.
or they're behind on the mortgage, in foreclosure, or they got to move and they just bought it recently.
So I
That's
think this brings up a good question though too. Like for those people like you just mentioned, and I'm learning more about it right now, but how do they kind of prove like for their debt to equity like ratio? Are you familiar with like how they can kind of show, okay, yes,
good
I this
question.
property is in my
Yeah.
name, but
Yeah, actually, I have several properties that are under my name, and I still bought them, and they asked me, "Oh, how are you able to afford this?" There's ways that you can, especially if you talk to the lender and you tell them that you show them that somebody else is paying for that property.
Mhm.
So that takes away your debt to income ratio, or takes away from your debt to income ratio.
Mhm.
If you're able to prove that um, you're not responsible of making that payment. So a lot of times what I do is I'm buying a new property, and if I'm moving there, I'll show them, hey, I'm moving to that new property, and I'm renting this one, and I already have a lease agreement from someone who's going to rent it for a certain amount, which covers my mortgage, plus it leaves a little bit extra. So they'll take away that from your debt to income ratio.
No, it's really good to know because I'm sure that's something that when there is someone that's hearing this, they're probably like, "What about that? Like, how do I get another home?" And just kind of explaining that to the
hmm
lender.
And we just had that with my team. I don't know if you saw the story that I put. I think it was yesterday. Or
I
yeah, I
did.
think yesterday. So one of our sellers was buying another property, and he needed to show the new lender that the property that we had subject to, he was not responsible for making those payments. So we had to notarize a document letting them know, hey, we are responsible for making this payment. He's off the hook, and he's able to get his loan.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
It's creative. So I know you've shared some of the creative strategies that you've used in your real estate portfolio. I'm wondering if you can go over, some of those again, or some of the, more creative ones that you've done, um, you and your team.
Yeah. One that I like the most is when this guy was in foreclosure, and he was really close to losing his house. So he came to us. Well, actually, my one of our team members found him, and we ended up we ended up buying his house subject to, instead of catching up his arrears, because he had 25 or $30,000 to catch up his arrears, but his arrears were like 65 or something. So he needed the extra money. So instead instead of us giving him the money, we say, hey, keep your 25,000, and we're gonna cover the whole thing, but we gotta buy your house subject to, and we'll pay for everything. So we bought the property subject to. We caught up everything, and on that last day, he was actually like he was sweating bricks, because the next day it was gonna go into auction, and it
Mhm.
was gonna be done. But we
Wow.
stopped it the last minute. Um, and so we bought it subject to, caught up the arrears and everything. He kept his money, and we leased it back to him for 3 months. So he was in the middle of selling one of his businesses, and in those 3 months he was gonna sell it and get some money to pay us back. So in those 3 months he was making rent payments, right? And with that we were making the mortgage payment, plus getting a little bit extra, like as cash flow. And then once those 3 months passed, he's like, okay, I'm ready to pay it back. So we opened escrow again. We sold it back to him sub two, basically. He paid us back, and yeah, we saved his house, and it was the coolest deal,
Yeah,
but it was like kind of risky. Like we
for
had
sure.
the most to gain if he didn't pay, because his house was worth like around almost $1 million, and his mortgage was like 600.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
if he didn't pay, we would keep the house.
Yeah.
and we would have to kick him out, and it would suck. But he came through, and everything worked out for him. He actually ended up giving us an extra $5,000 to extend the closing. The closing date, and so we made an extra 5,000 just for extending it.
Nice. It's awesome.
So and actually, I was actually the lender on that deal to catch up the arrears. At the same time, we were buying the property, so I was like owner and lender at the same time.
Nice.
So when we got paid, this company paid me again, right? So that one was pretty cool.
Yeah. Creative. Yeah. So on our team, you're known as the creative finance specialist. But just for, anybody watching, like one of the things I love is like any deal, so we meet every other Saturday, just us and the team, but any deal we bring up or any situation we bring up, any real estate transaction, you're quick to find a creative solution to it. And so I just think it's so cool, that and we're so grateful to have you a part of the team because we really can lean on you for that aspect of the business. And like almost every time, and it's like sometimes I'm like, damn, I didn't even like think about that. And sometimes I'm like, what did you say? Like we could do what? Like, so it's pretty crazy, what you can do with creative finance and this whole other world of real estate, that people don't really know. And I mean, our first transactions in real estate was investing, and it was just creative finance. And so that was our introduction to real estate. And so it wasn't even traditional, and so this is something real. This is something that everybody's doing. It's something that everybody's been doing in the real estate world. There was just really no name for it, so it's pretty cool. But what would you say for like someone who is looking to get into real estate but doesn't have like money, credit, and is kind of looking to do exactly what we do, but doesn't know how to start? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to start networking. Network. Because what you don't know, somebody else knows. What you don't have, somebody else has.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the money. Somebody else has it.
Yeah.
You don't have to know how to do the transaction. Someone else knows how to do the transaction. Just network.
Yeah.
I think that would be if I knew that back then, that I would just be doing networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. No, 100%. I can't tell you how many people who are crucial to our business today simply came from just networking, just from the community, from out here, just networking and meeting them. And I mean, crucial to our business. I mean, our corporate credit coach, John Lee, John, met him at a meetup out here, networking event, so our entire team we have, where did we meet him? At a meetup out here, so it's just pretty incredible how powerful networking is. And you're absolutely right, and I also think that's why we don't all possess the same skills and talents, is because we are supposed to work together. And that's how we're just designed by nature. We're supposed to work together. We're supposed to bring all of our skills, all of our talents to the table. We're supposed to get to work. And, that's just kind of by nature how we're created. So,
I don't do any of my transactions alone. Like I have my team. I have my guy who does all we call him a transaction engineer, not even a TC, because he's a problem solver. He looks at a transaction. He's like, no, you're going to fuck up on that. You're going to fuck up on that. That's wrong. This is not good.
That's good. Yeah.
So he's like, what if this, what if that? And he like finds a solution in the whole transaction. So I don't do any deals without him taking a look at my documents.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you need people. You need people.
Yes.
You can't just do it alone. Even if it's not like your people, it's a service that you're getting, but it still requires people to do it for you.
Yeah. And I love how you narrowed it down so simple to networking. Like the question was, how do you get started in real estate, right? And you said just network. Network with real estate professionals or those that are in real estate already, and just network. And you don't. And it was and you don't need the money, you know, like you said, it's just find the people who have the money, you know. And that's so true. Like we were just talking today, so we have a brand new, just that we added to our network, a brand new end buyer, cash buyer, fix and flipper that we just met today, reached out to us, just somebody we're adding who's local. So that was the most important thing. So, you know, Tiger, we have a whole network of end buyers and, you know, cash buyers. We have a whole network of fix and flippers. Like we have all that. I mean, so on and so forth. Transaction coordinators, we have that. But not a lot of them are local. I'm sure you would agree. Not a lot of them are local. The only local is really everybody on our team, right? And so I was just thinking today, I'm like, dang, we need more end buyers. We need more cash buyers for the deals that we're finding, for the deals that need funding that we can't fund just within our team, right? And so just today, she's like, oh, hey, we have a new cash buyer. I'm like, dude, local, right? And just from, you know, networking and just jumped on the phone with them, and they're like, hey, you know, I'm an investor. I'm a fix and flipper out here. I'm looking to buy properties cash, you know? So it's like, hey, you came to the right team. I promise you, we will find properties that you can buy cash. And the most beautiful things, they're local. We don't have to convince them of the market. We don't have to, you know, sell them the market and why it's beneficial for them to invest out here. They're here, you know? And so it was just so important. So that's kind of what I was going to bring up in the next time that we meet on Saturdays. I'm like, hey, we need to find more of these cash buyers, more of these end buyers local, because it's just one less step we have to do in convincing them of the market out here. And so we're already, you know, working on that.
Something that I like to do, and maybe someone new can try this. I like to go sometimes into open houses. Like on the weekend, I'll just go to open houses, and then I'll go in the house that's, you could tell has been flipped because it's really nice. And I'll just call the agent and I'll ask him, hey, you know, like, hey, I saw your house, this and that is very nice. I'd like to know the owner, like, is it a flip? And they'll tell me, yeah, this is a flip and this and that. It's like, hey, I would like to bring more opportunities to your investor. Like, I can find the house and bring it to them. So I like to do that. That's one of the things that I like to do. So someone new can do that and get in contact with the fix and flipper, and then just start looking for houses to bring to that investor.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we have a few of them out here. You know, we just need to connect with them more. A lot of fix and flip. There's a lot of fix and flip opportunity out here. You know, so there's just a lot of, you know, older Lancaster, you know, old Palmdale, that are some good fix and flips. You know, I see them doing it. You know, like there's one we pass all the time in Lancaster, that has a big old container out there, and I'm like, dude, what? And so we just passed it, I think, a couple days ago, and so we drove so fast, but I'm like, hey, we need to go back and get this address. And so we're going to be looking into it, because this container has been out there. I've noticed, like, for a while. Like, I've noticed it a while ago, and I'm like, this container hasn't changed. Like, the same amount of trash is in it. It's in the front. It's almost like somebody acquired the property, fix and flipper, and like kind of gave up on it. I don't know what happened. Something's going on here, you know? And so, but it's crazy. So, but when you're in the world of real estate and you know, like, you're just passing opportunities all the time, like, to where just the average person will pass a home and it's just like, oh, just board it up, you know, ghetto, whatever. It's like, what, you know, we look at them like,
that's money right there.
What's going on in this house? You know, like, that's my next house. What's going on here? You know? So, it's just so funny, you know, how your lenses change when you get in the world of real estate and you pass by homes, and it's not like, you know, look at that trashy house. It's with that container of trash outside. It's like, oh, what's this here? And I'm looking at the market. And I'm like, hey, this is a pretty good area. You know, like, close to bus stops. I'm already thinking of the model that can go. You know, the strategy and model that I can put into the house. And so it's just funny, and it's a whole nother world. You know.
Yeah.
So it's fun though. It's definitely fun.
Yeah, but you change your mindset and you start catching all these things, and once you're in that industry and you start learning the language and the potential and the strategies, you start seeing these things that are like right in front of you that you couldn't see before.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy, and they're all there, all there. And I'm like, how long has this been here? You know, and I mean, we consider ourselves new in real estate. You know, just year and a half. You know, so it's like, how long has this been here? You know, like, these opportunities, they're all here, like. And it's pretty incredible. It's fun, and we're in such a growing market. Out here in the Antelope Valley, it's 25% built, and there's so much growth happening out here right now. So much projected to happen in the future, and it's just such an opportunity, for investors, and that's why you see so many investors out here, and fix and flips, and you see companies coming out here, and you see warehouses being built, and it's a growing market. I would argue it's one of the fastest growing, biggest opportunities in LA County is what I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, it's just I would still consider it, like untapped. Like there's so much potential out here, but we're out here, and we're tapping into it. So future looks bright, man. But
PBD.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Nobody actually catches when I say that. I always say future looks bright.
Yeah.
But yeah, PBD. Got that from him. I actually used to work in his company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Dope.
And so it's what did you say?
I said that's dope.
Yeah, so it's just kind of ingrained saying that. But yeah, so what would you say is maybe one thing you wish you knew about creative finance when you got started?
One thing I wish I knew about creative finance. Yeah. Man, that's a good question. I mean, there's so much to know about creative. That would have
helped you. I'll go first. I wish I would have known it was a thing. Yeah, I wish I would have known and where to find it. Actually, let's start with that. That's what I would have wished I knew. Is because like I said, when we got into it, we were not educated, and we were just investing, with some friends out here, and so I'm like, what the heck? Like, what are we doing? What is this even called? Like, this has got to be called a thing, And so all we knew is it was real estate. We were investing in real estate, and so it wasn't until Crystal came across Pace and his training, and then we became, students with Pace and in real estate, that we figured out what it was. And so for me, it's like, I wish I would have known it was called creative finance, like I wish I would have known it was a thing so that I could start, learning it and mastering that craft. And I just wish I would have known it, it was a thing. But and it is. And the real estate, even traditional real estate, they know this is a different aspect of real estate, And so, like I said, the business summit out here, which is coming up literally in 9 days, the last business summit, they spoke, the real estate professionals, when they went up to do their talks on the real estate world, commercial and residential, they spoke about creative finance. And I thought that was so cool, because either they didn't speak about it last time because I didn't know what it was, or they just didn't speak about it. Like, I don't know, but I just remember how excited I was when I heard them, and they're like, oh, we have to tap more into creative finance and leverage creative finance. And I was like, looking around, I'm like, yeah, like this is what I've been saying. Like, this is a thing, I'm not just making it up. Like, and so I thought it was super cool. I mean, these are seasoned professionals in our market. So for me, I would just say, if there's one thing I wish I knew, I guess it would be that it existed. It's the best for me, But what about you?
I would say for me is know somebody who was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a game changer. Because if I knew somebody who was doing it and willing to teach me, bro, I would have been so far ahead.
Yeah.
So far ahead.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the same thing. I wish we would have had someone that we like, that knowing it existed, and then just having someone that could really walk us through it and explain how to protect ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. Just
very important.
It's not the traditional route. So when you're trying to look into it and you're trying to figure out like what contracts to use, how do I protect myself, there are some things like you still should go through escrow, and you should still like check title and things like that, just to make sure that the people that you're in transactions with are legitimate and actually have the right to be in these transactions as well. But just not even knowing where to start, I guess, like how to even start to protect yourself. So, and I think that's something great that Pace definitely works on, is protect yourself.
For sure.
Assessing what he says about
don't trust anybody, not even your grandma.
Yeah.
He says it all the time.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's important.
Yeah, no, that's good. So protecting yourself, knowing it even exists, and knowing somebody, that's pretty good. I would say those are all very, very valid points. And it's funny because we did have those people. I mean, Tiger, you've been out here, you live out here in Palmdale, so I just think it's funny. It's like, dang, like now we know you, which is great, but we had to meet you through that community that Pace has built. And so I'm really glad I did that. And all I did was just kind of look up. I'm like, yeah, we need, like, who's out here? Like, the closest people can't possibly be in LA, and so
dude, when I saw that group, I got excited.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's more people here.
Yeah,
I only knew like 2 other guys that were Gators.
Yeah,
and that I met one of them at Venice Beach when Pace was here that same year that I joined Sub 2. I met him there, and those are the only 2 people that I knew until like you guys created that group. And I was like, oh shoot, there's a bunch of people out here.
There's a bunch of them, yeah. And so I'm like, there's got to be more people out here. And so I just looked up, just kind of the cities, and I'm like, there is, and so I just made that group, and I'm like, hey, like, we're out here, like, we're all we got, like, kind of. And so, that's not true because we have a whole community, but, local, I'm like, hey, this is where we're starting, so, and, look what we've been able to create, it's pretty cool. So, and we're just starting, with our,
starting,
and so it's been pretty cool. And I mean, I know you saw, I mean, we have such a strong foundation with our team. We have we have professional realtors on our team, project manager, fix and flippers, creative finance specialists. We have a lot of years of experience, and so and then them with their own networks as well, and in different markets. So just the start of this team that we're building is the foundation is pretty strong, I would say, and so looking forward to adding more people to our team out here, and finding more deals, and just doing more business together. It's gonna be pretty fun. I know Easton posted his thing today where he was kind of going through the list, the Rolodex of potential clients, and he's pretty excited, and
I got to check that out. I think I missed that message. I got to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. He's sharing just how to he's sharing how to reach out to clients pretty easily. So but we have a good team out here, and I'm really looking forward to what we're gonna do and the families we're gonna help, and it's gonna be pretty cool. Future looks bright.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
dude, I agree. We're gonna do some good stuff out here, because I've been trying to look for stuff, but sometimes I don't have time to look. But I've been wanting to buy more properties out here. Yeah. So we got to do some deals, man.
For sure, definitely. So let's see what else. I'm trying to think of.
I just wanted to touch on something really quick that you mentioned earlier, and in your stories that you always tell us for your investments and the opportunities like that, it's always to help people. And I think like when people think of investors, they don't always think of them as helpful people. So it's really good to show and like give examples of stories where people were helped, and like you said, you could have benefited even more if that individual didn't pay, but how excited and happy you were that they were able to pay, and that you were able to actually help them save their home. And I think that's a side of investing that people need to see more of, that investors, there are investors out there that really do just want to help and find win-win situations.
Sure.
And I just think it's great that you're able to share stories like that.
Yeah, that was I remember because he had on our contract we had a certain date where he had to open escrow. That he agreed, hey, like I'm gonna have this money by then, and we set the contract like, okay, by this time you have to open escrow, otherwise, we gotta do a different route, right? And it's not gonna look good. But that day was like approaching, and when he like opened escrow and like he put in his EMD, it was like, yes, like this is gonna be good. It's gonna be good because we would have benefited more, but it would have been such a headache, and we would have felt so bad just wrecking that dude's house. I mean, it was his home, right?
Yeah.
It would suck to take it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's not a good feeling. It wouldn't have been good for either one of us. Even though we're winning, it just wouldn't feel good. So it was a better feeling that he was able to actually come through. Even though we didn't make a ton of money, we make some money, but it's the story, it's that played out in a better way. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, just the ability to help people. And, and that's why we decided with, We Rescue Homes, and because that's what it is, that's what we're doing. We're rescuing them from a distressed situation that they're in, and so it's pretty cool, what we're doing. And you're right, people kind of have that view on investors, and it's like, oh, what do you want? Like, you're just here to, and it's like, well, no, we're really just looking for, a win-win situation where you win, we win, and just finding the best solution for you. And we're not trying to take advantage of you. We're not trying to scam you. We're just, we don't even have to work together, if it doesn't make sense. And so, very valid point that you made there. So, and that we, have stories to share, about that. And Tiger has a good amount of stories to share about that. So
I'm crying. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, water went through the wrong way.
Touching.
Yeah.
So if you had to start over like today with just your knowledge in creative finance, how would you go about finding your first deal?
Oh, for sure. Foreclosures.
Okay.
Foreclosures. That would be my thing.
Got you. Awesome.
Not just because I went through it.
Yeah.
As foreclosures, but it's a good way to start, because these people, they need help.
Yeah.
So they're already going through something, either willing to sell, willing to move, or willing to take some type of help. So I would start with foreclosures if I had to start again. What awesome. Would you start with?
If I had the knowledge I had today, well, you gave a good answer. So that was like the best answer. So I'm trying to think of like expired listings. How about that?
That's a good one.
So I would start with expired listings. So
yeah.
What do you mean?
It's the same thing, I think, with like foreclosures. Like, you have to come in like ready, like with real solutions.
For sure, yeah.
That's definitely one thing is expired listings, foreclosures, but people with like a pain, like something's going on, they need help, and coming in with like real solutions is so important for them.
Yeah, 100%. But those are two good. What would be a third one? Now you're not.
I spoke. That counts, right? Yeah.
So we got foreclosures, expired listings. What would be a third one?
There's a few that are going through my head, but they're not as like easily accessible. as a foreclosure. Jeez.
Like what?
Well, I was thinking divorce because people don't
that's true.
want to,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times be in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And I think divorce situations, you have opportunities for traditional as well as creative. A lot of times the house has meaning.
Oh yeah.
And I believe you brought up a time where this happened and you were able to help someone that was going through a situation and they were able to stay in the home, and that was like their home. And for them already going through a tough time and being able to stay in their home, it provides a little bit of comfort, if anything. So definitely I think that's something you just have to, again, be ready because they're going through a lot and a lot of emotions for sure. So
yeah, I think it's important for anybody who's watching, it's important to understand, like, so everything we've mentioned is somebody going through a hard time. You know what I mean? And so you have to have empathy. You have to be a caring person. You have to really want to understand their situation and help them find solutions to their problem. But also be a friend, like through this process. And I think that's where, we're going to have, where we've had and where we're going to continue to have the most success is that we're not just here to just make money off of a transaction, and we see you as dollar signs. Although we've mentioned when we pass houses, sometimes we see them as dollar signs. I understand that, but that's different. That's not a person with feelings,
But you don't know the story yet, so
yeah,
okay.
I don't know the story yet, so. But it's just so important to understand. I mean, foreclosures and expired listings and divorces, like those are all pain points. Those are all situations a real person is going through that we get to help them with.
Probate is another one too.
Yeah, 100%. So just really understanding. And then so what gives us a bad name in real estate, or at least in real estate investing side of the world, is those wholesalers and investors who just lack compassion and don't care, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna help you, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna get this much, and it's like, take time to learn their story and help them and understand, and and I think that's what separates us is understanding that part of that business, being that friend to them. That's what they need in that
Yep.
in that time is exactly what they need. So yeah, those are all good ways to start.
Yeah,
very good ways. So,
and most of them are free ways to start.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you don't even just go door knocking.
Yeah, that's true. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and people do answer, which is
yeah,
like that's something I think that people are saying, like, oh, they don't answer anymore. Like, people, if someone knocks on the door and they see like someone standing there that looks friendly and not too salesy, they'll answer and just have a conversation with you.
The best way to do that, or one of the best ways, is if you have a pet, a dog, or kids, go knock with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody will probably open the door. Yeah.
Literally leveraged all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them. Whole family.
There was a guy in sub 2 that's all he did. He just he'll take his kids out for a walk and he'll just walk the neighborhood, knock doors, and he'll get a lot of leads for his team to
that's awesome.
For foreclosures. Just knocking doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just doing the work, and so that's probably another good answer for, how do you get started in real estate? And it's just, you start, we've mentioned a few things, you just start doing it, and you kind of learn along the way. Like I said, our first introduction to real estate, we did not know what we were doing. We were just doing it, and so we didn't realize the protection we needed. We didn't realize the type of real estate we were even, and the transaction we were even investing in. And so it's just start. You do the work, you start door knocking, you start networking, you start just with the conversation, and then it grows from there. You grow from there as well as your business.
Being genuine, I think, and honest as well. Like if you are new, be honest about that. Like reaching out. Like if you don't know the answer, like I know someone that knows the answer, and I will get back to you and help you out with that. Just because that comes through. People like to work with people they can trust, and if you're honest about like even something little, as if you're new, like I literally just started real estate today, and you're the first person I'm talking to, but I have a network, I have a team. People can see that, and again, it changes kind of that look that people have for investors.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure. Yeah, that's important. Just mentioning like, it's okay not to know everything. As we said earlier, it's okay not to have all the answers, and we're not supposed to. We have a team. That's what you have a team for. And I know that if I want a super creative solution, I call Tiger. That's just what I do. I'm like, and it's just, I want, working on a fix and flip project, I call Eric. So, and
that brings us back to the networking thing, right? Because the more you hang out with people who are doing these things, like I'm on a call every day with my team in Vegas, and also like with my my transaction engineer that I mentioned earlier, and those guys are like way more creative than me. So like all the creative stuff that you hear me say, like it's because I'm surrounded by it. So it just comes.
Your environment.
Right?
That's another one. Your environment is so important. Not just networking, but also keeping that environment around.
Yeah.
That's what's going to elevate you too. So
so when you're surrounded by certain things, it just becomes natural to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So networking is definitely important. Surrounding yourself with the people that are doing the things that you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah. It's awesome. I think it's been a good conversation, but what about some takeaways? So, network, just get started. What else?
Action. I like that you said action.
Yeah.
Take action, because you could have $1 million idea, but if you never take action, it's just 0.
100%.
And for me, action is really important. I'm like the type of guy, if I have an idea, I have to do it like now, even if it fails later, but I have to do it. Because that's how I learn. I learn by doing.
Just trial and error, failing forward, and just learning by doing. That's what we're all doing. So that's it,
put the time into
for sure
doing it. Take action. Take 30 days, 60 days into doing something that you're learning, right? And then it just, you get that momentum to keep going.
Yep. So that's it. That's the takeaways. Network, take action. Creative finance is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a legal, real thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's awesome, man. So we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me, brother.
On our podcast. Fairly new podcast, so we don't have 100,000 viewers or anything yet. But no, we really appreciate it. We're grateful you're a part of our team and our partnership out here. So, thank you so much. But that wraps up this episode. Thank you for everybody who's watching. Anybody who got value, go ahead and post it in the comments. What's a good way to reach out to you, or where can anybody follow you, Tiger?
On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Tiger Rodriguez.
Tiger Rodriguez. You think there's a lot of Tiger Rodriguez's?
Not that many.